It's showtime.
What's going on, you guys? This is Luke from Dark Fiction Factory. Today we are taking a look at a movie that I have always loved, but also thought could use a modern remake. I am talking about The Running Man. In this video, we'll discuss the 1987 film, the original novel, as well as the upcoming new adaptation set to release later in 2025. And we'll look at what could make that movie a success.
It's time to start running!
Looking at the 1987 film, it was plagued with production issues, but still became a cult classic, thanks mostly to Arnold Schwarzenegger's one-liners.
But I hope you leave enough room for my fist, because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine!
The flashy WWE-style stalker characters, and Richard Dawson's performance as TV host Killian. Dawson felt so realistic since he was the host of Family Feud for many years. Although he doesn't kiss anyone in The Running Man like he did almost every contestant on Family Feud. If you don't believe me, go back and watch some reruns. The 1987 film The Running Man was based on the novel by the same name by Richard Bachman, who of course is actually Stephen King under his alias. But to be honest, I've read a lot of Stephen King books. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but this was actually probably my least favorite novel that I've read from him. Now, the book is vastly different than the original film, so I wonder if this new film is going to be a straight adaptation of the book or more of a remake of the 1987 film. Personally, I'd like to see more of a remake of the film, but I think the best way for them to approach the project is to take what worked about the book and what worked about the original film and really mix it together to make something special. Let's take a look at the talent that is going to be involved. Edgar Wright is a great director, known for films such as Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, just to name a few. I really like this director, and it seems like the production may be more streamlined and a lot less chaotic than the 1987 production. Edgar Wright is a respected director, and he's no stranger to genre work and gory, violent work as well. Playing the star Ben Richards, replacing Arnold Schwarzenegger, is Glenn Powell. You might recognize Powell from Top Gun Maverick, where he played this sort of macho counterpart to Tom Cruise. Director Edgar Wright remarked that he wanted to cast someone who had never starred as a big-budget action star before, which is a smart choice. Think Christopher Reeve as Superman or Bruce Willis in the original Die Hard. Neither were known as action stars at the time, and it helps the audience connect more with the character and less with the actor playing the character. And for Killian, the TV host, we have Josh Brolin. Now, of course, Josh Brolin has been in a ton of stuff, from Goonies to No Country for Old Men, and lots of other things. Brolin has proved himself to be an amazing actor who takes mostly serious roles, and I trust that he will deliver a brilliant performance as Killian. It will be curious to see how they handle the Killian character, as he is slightly different in the book than he is from the 1987 film. Seeing that Richard Dawson in the original film was an actual game show host, I don't think it would be wise for Brolin to try to emulate his style, but maybe bring something fresh and new to the table. The 1987 film was fairly violent, not shying away from some gory deaths, but was hampered a bit by budget failures. Andrew Davis, who was the director for a short time, reportedly blew through much of the budget in a very short time, so much so that he was fired from the production and replaced with Paul Michael Glaser. Thus, some of the violence doesn't hit as gruesomely as it could. The novel itself was violent, but not overly gratuitous in its gore. So it'll be curious to see what they go for with the violence level and gore level in this adaptation. Personally, as always, I hope this is a gore fest. I hope it's hyper violent, hard R rating, something teetering more on horror than simply action and suspense.
What happened to Baza?
He had to split.
Themes of the government controlling entertainment and news, which is a relevant topic in today's world. If this new version of The Running Man focuses on that dystopian feel, misinformation, and media manipulation, this could resonate very well with modern audiences. One major difference between the film and the book is that in the book, Richards actually volunteers to be part of the show because he's an unemployed factory worker, he has a sick kid, and his wife has turned to prostitution to try to make ends meet. The book's story shows a desperate man with nowhere else to turn because of societal factors. This is vastly different than how Richards is portrayed in the film, where he is a moral cop who is framed and forced to participate in the Running Man game. I actually prefer the film's storyline when it comes to Ben Richards' involvement in the games, as he is actively being manipulated by the government, which sort of helps strengthen that, sort of anti-government media manipulation theme that we just talked about. It'll be interesting to see which direction they go. The original film envisioned a world where reality TV would take over the networks, and that is true to some extent. But however, the film predicted that these productions would be huge budget, lavish productions. However, modern reality television is much more of a low-budget affair and usually focuses more on cooking or romance as opposed to violence. Another difference between the film and the book is that the book takes place all over the East Coast, whereas the film takes place in an isolated gaming area. The film has a bit of a disjointed feel as the runners and stalkers are just sort of roaming this weird world that feels very much like a cheesy movie set and not a very convincing one. At times we see crowds watching the action live, but it never really makes sense as to where the runners are actually going during the action. Director Edgar Wright suggested that this new version of the story would be a quote intense and described it as a quote road movie. So it seems this will be more of an open world style movie like the original novel. Also, the stalkers in the film were more like WWE characters than the more subtle hunters in the novel. However, this kind of played to the film's strength, and I think it's something a lot of people remember fondly from the '87 film. The iconic characters like Sub-Zero and Fireball were memorable and fun, if not a bit cheesy. I think for the new adaptation they would do well to give the hunters these sort of big bombastic personalities and costumes, but maybe not take it quite as far into the cheesy territory that the 1987 Schwarzenegger film did. While the 1987 film does have a pretty good, Hollywood-style ending, the book has a much more, how can I say this, explosive ending. The ending of the novel could work very well on the big screen, and the end of the novel actually packs a little bit more of an emotional punch than the '87 film. In the end, I think this film will work best, like I said, if they take some of the strengths from the movie, get rid of some of the cheesiness, take some of the really intense and more subtle scenes from the book, and just kind of mesh them together, with some new fresh ideas along the way. With the director and the crew that they have in place for this, I am personally very excited. I know sometimes we dog on remakes and do we really need this, do we really need that, but personally here it can't hurt. The '87 Schwarzenegger film is not going anywhere, nobody's going to forget about classic '80s Schwarzenegger, and hey, maybe they'll even let Schwarzenegger make a cameo in the new Running Man.
I'll be back.
Only in a rerun.
Anyway, that's about it, guys. What do you think about the new Running Man adaptation? Are you excited or cautiously hesitant, or do you want nothing to do with it? If you've read the book and you've seen the film, which do you prefer? Is there anything new that the original novel or the '87 film didn't include that you think would work in a modern 2025 film adaptation? I love hearing from you guys about these new movies that are coming out, so feel free to drop your comments below and let's discuss it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. For more content, check out darkfictionfactory.com and more here on our Dark Fiction Factory YouTube. Until next time, keep running and take care.